based on your suggestions, we have a function to upload the HCV files, and some the basic functions has been complete. We will demonstrate to you next. Yeah.
All right. Sounds
How
good.
can you share your screen?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Wait a minute. User have three choice. The first is they to input the psychometrics value by themselves.
Okay.
After submit, they can have 4 different visualization of their input.
What's
This is
this?
based on their.
Yeah, this one I didn't quite understand. This mapping to this function part.
You mean the mapping or the do you want to me explain the mapping algorithm? Yes.
No, what do you have algorithm? This looks like just a curve fitting.
Yes, this is curve fitting. I
Yeah.
don't have the algorithm.
So why do you have this 4 functions?
Because this is the, I think this is the best way to implement the mapping algorithm.
What do you mean by best? Where did you get this information to use these functions?
Research on the internet.
Yeah, that's still our questions. We still don't know how to confirm which algorithm is the best. So that's our question. We want to meet with you and get some suggestions.
Yeah, we want to know what's the best to me. What kind of we can call it best?
Okay. Now, the mapping you need to find is a very, very highly nonlinear mapping. You don't even know what kind of function you should be using it. Right. So when you search the internet to find this function, what did you search?
Like this one.
Yeah, but what were you searching for? What were you searching?
We also searched some machine learning like this. This is what we find and can implement, but we don't know if you're satisfied with it.
Okay, well, those regression is not really a mapping. Those regression is trying to fit the model to the data.
Yes.
That's not the nonlinear mapping you need to find. Okay, I'll come back to this one, but go ahead.
And you can choose which one you want to store and store them to the database.
Okay.
And the user can upload the CSV file and submit.
Okay, and how are you going to use this one?
batch processing.
Okay, can you show me?
Submit. We
Okay.
already submit once. And
Okay.
this is submit previously, and this is submitted just now.
I don't get this one.
You choose one of the algorithm, and you can predict the error number at some description.
No.
And confirm.
When you upload a file, that file had the 3 data sets, 3
Yes.
rows, right?
Yeah, these are 3.
Oh, you separate. No. You don't treat individually. That's a user A, user B, user C. So from
Yes.
that, you need to generalize. You need to estimate.
You mean combine them?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So these are just examples, just samples of the mapping. So user A mapped not happy to 0, and user B mapped not happy to 0.2, and user C also mapped not happy to 0.2. So from those 3 samples, your system, your algorithm needs to generalize it. So based on those 3 examples, what is the actual mapping from not happy to the numerical space?
I get it. So combine the 3 and choose combine the 3 values and choose the best one.
No, not basically. You need to generalize it. Your system needs to learn.
I get it. Yes. And so, do we still need to do the visualization like this one?
Yeah, if once you found the mapping, yes, you can visualize. So from this data, well, you have not happy to very happy. There's 6 users there. You have 2 ABC there. Now you have 6 sample points. Now from this sample points, you're gonna have just 1 projection.
Yes, I get it.
You get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we don't need the user input. It's unnecessary.
Well, if you're going to do this user input, you can use that to collect the data, right? You can collect the data for, say, certain emotions, not happy to happy. If you want to collect this mapping for, say, 100 people, you can ask all those 100 people to come to this page to enter their data. And you can use this page, this user interface to collect the data, but all the collected data will go into the one CSV file. And from that file, which contains 100 data in there, your system can learn to find the best mapping from psychometric space to numerical space.
I get it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, understand.
That's what we get so far, and we
Oh,
will
I see.
improve
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And-
Okay. In that case, okay. How about look at a, this is quite an old technique, but have a look at this mapping technique, the summon mapping.
Okay. And,
Okay. Also, you can even simple k-mean clustering as well. Okay, so in this case, not happy case, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 classes. K is 4. Okay, and this is one dimensional.
Yes.
And using those numerical space and find the location of the reference vector, which is reference point of each cluster.
Okay.
Okay, that's the nonlinear mapping I'm talking about. And a summer mapping does does similar thing.
If you provide some of the mapping algorithm, we would like to happy to implement it. But if you can't, unwilling to provide, we can research some.
Well, I just gave you example. Summer mapping that came in. That's a typical algorithm you can use. But if you can find a better one, that's good. There's lots of other techniques as well.
Okay.
But these are kind of the techniques or method or algorithm I was expecting you to use it, not just simple curve fitting, function fitting, because you don't even know what the function is.
Oh, yeah.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah, understood.
Okay. So both summer mapping and the K-mean is a similar to clustering technique, and that's an iterative process, right? If you have lots and lots of training data and you go through the data, right, and many times to find the best location of, the reference point or reference vector in the K-mean, for example. Right. So
Yeah.
there might be this easy for you to start with the K-mean clustering.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. In this case, in just one dimensional K-mean.
Okay, we will try later.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
If there are two CSV files and they both contains happy, if first the result from first CSV is 1 and the result for happy from second CSV is 2, do we need combine them or just separate them?
Could you say it again?
There are two CSV files.
Yeah. Okay.
And they both contain the psychometric value of happy.
Okay.
The result from first CSV is 1.
No. If you're uploading the CSV file, each CSV file treated separately.
Okay, it treats them separately.
Mm-hmm.
So don't based on the previous value. I get it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's my question.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, Professor. I
Yep.
also have a question. In your last email, you said the nonlinear mapping process should find the best projection. But I remember in the first client meeting, you said the user should choose the algorithm by themselves. So,
That's right. So that's why I said, if user can choose, okay, I want to find a projection using summer mapping algorithm or K-mean algorithm. Once you select it, push the button, and you run those algorithms to find the projection. It's mapping.
oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
about the value previous unknown.
Sorry, value previously unknown.
Yeah, you mentioned to predict some value.
That's right. So once you trained your system, or once your system find the projection, right? Okay, and the next time, when you have a new psychometric category. Okay, I'm going to say in the training you have not happy, little happy, happy, and very happy. Okay.
Yes.
And if I say, okay, I have a new category called not so happy, which is not in the data,
Yes.
but I can say not so happy is between not happy and little happy.
Yes.
Okay. And
you,
I could say, but I can say not so happy is close to not happy. And from that, I want to be able to find out what is the numerical value of not so happy.
Like this one.
Yeah. So if I say, okay, not so happy, where should I put not so happy? Yeah, around there. Okay. If I put that there, what is actually numerical value?
Yeah, and not so happy.
Yeah.
And confirm, yeah. And store then.
No. If the actual data is there, then we can store it.
Store one description or many descriptions.
Well, if you can provide this type of user interface, saying, if I want to define not so happy, and based on the user's response, you can say, okay, not so happy is around here on x-axis.
Can we predict based on the function we implemented previously?
No, okay. So for example, okay, say your system already learned the projection from these 4 categories to numerical space.
Yeah.
Now, next time you have a different CSV file, okay, showing how close not so happy is compared to not happy and little happy. And some user put not so happy close to not happy. Some users put not so happy right in the middle of not happy and little happy. So you're going to have lots of different data.
Yes.
Then from that, you can just predict, in general, not so happy is close to not happy, and the numerical value is X. I'll talk to you more about that once you implement this K-mean or sum mapping or this sort of nonlinear mapping. Then I can explain you more on that.
So
yes.
That would be by surveying different users of how they place the not so happy labels across the graph. Is that right?
Yeah. So okay. So say you establish this numerical scale of not happy to very happy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So based on the many people survey, not happy is 0, little happy is 2, happy is 3, very happy is 5. Now, next time you have different survey saying, okay, if you were to describe not so happy, what would be the number of not so happy?
Yep.
Right? So you can ask lots of people, what is the value of not so happy?
Yep, that makes sense.
Right. So, but when you do a survey, you can ask a number, but you can simply ask how close the not so happy is to not happy or little happy or happy. Just ask user where you want to put on this x-axis. Where do you want to put not so happy?
Yep.
You don't know the numerical value, but if you want to put the not so happy, where would you want to put it?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And a lot of people, have different opinions.
Yes.
But based on that, if if you already have this mapping function, every time someone put the not so happy in a certain x-axis, you can present a number.
Mhm.
Okay, if you place a not so happy between a little happy and happy, and then based on the x location, the y value, numerical value of not so happy according to you is say 2.3.
Mhm.
All right. Is that okay, or is it? Do you think that's a good, or you can present? You know, a lot of people thought about not so happy should be between not happy and little happy. You can do all kinds of stuff, but we'll get there once you implement K-mean or some mapping, some kind of non-linear mapping.
We will first implement the mapping algorithm. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions?
No.
So what's this slider bar? Yeah, that.
You can choose how it goes to not happy or little happy.
Okay. Why did you use this slider bar? This.
It's our tutor's recommend.
Oh, okay. And if you're gonna put the slider bar, you should put the slider bar. Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure whether you need a slider bar. If you're gonna put the slider bar, you should put one under the x-axis, and you should make it the same width,
Uh,
right? And also, you don't need to show the blue color at the beginning. You just show the blue circle. Anyway, okay, that looks all right. Anything else?
So it is if the mapping here is not linear, but it's some sort of non-linear mapping across all
Yes.
the different data set, then it satisfies with what you envision. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So if you use K-mean clustering, in this case you have 4 clusters, right? Not happy, little happy, happy, and very happy. And all you got to do is basically because this is one-dimensional, and based on the K-mean, for not happy, what you need to do is calculate the average of all the value for not happy, right? 0 and 0.5 and 0.5.
Yep.
And the calculate average. That will be the location of not happy. Right? Do you get it?
Yes.
So right now we just assume we are given the exact location of not happy, little happy, happy, but then is it that later on those would just be the average of some survey across
That's right.
people? Yep.
That's right. Now, if you do that, those K-mean would just give you the location of each 4 clusters, right? You can't interpolate in between, right? Now, for that purpose, interpolating whether you want to do linear mapping or non-linear mapping, that part, there are lots of different ways to do it. But for that, you can have the function you just showed me, a simple linear one or some the more higher order function to fit. That's fine. You can let the user to select that. That one you can use some regression to find that to do curve fitting.
So we can, for example, we use average function to calculate the not happy, little happy, happy, and very happy. Then we can use logistical regression to predict the value for not so happy.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you some example. Look, if you guys done the unit of study survey, right, at the end of each semester.
Yes.
right? And the survey asks you whether a lecture was very useful or not. Agree, disagree, or strongly agree, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that one was number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, so that automatically puts those 5 different expression in integer space linearly,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
But the question is, so if you do that, the emotional difference between agree and strongly agree and disagree and strongly disagree, okay, they are treated at the same distance, right?
Yep.
And my question is, emotion probably that's not the same distance.
Mhm.
So for example, disagree and strongly disagree. Strongly disagree might be really strongly disagree. So distance between disagree and strongly disagree might be bigger than agree and strongly agree. So in
Yeah.
that case, strongly disagree is 0, then disagree should be 2 to more difference, for example.
Mm.
Do you get it?
Maybe.
Okay.
So later on, does the student need to create the interface for collecting the survey data?
Yeah, that part, the very first user interface asking about, emotional categories and assign numbers, that page can be used to correct the data. But I will put that in some different task. If you have time, if you can create that page to correct the data, that'd be great.
Can we use this one and add an ID for them? So based on ID.
Yeah, you can use that one. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you can turn this page into the data collection web page, so how should we do it? So creating a number of emotions, for example, that one the user don't define, you define. Someone who wants to collect data defines. Okay, so I want to collect the data on happiness.
Yes.
And the data I want to collect is basically 4 categories. So I put the 4 in there and I create the name and maybe minimum maximum range. I'm not sure that part. But once you create that one, then you can ask lots of people to use that page to assign a number to each emotions.
Can administrator input the survey at the database and the user?
Yeah. That's fine too.
Yeah, it's not hard to implement here.
But the main thing is, like I said before, once you had those data for lots of different users response in the form of CSV, and when you upload it, based on that, you can calculate this general consensus of each emotional categories.
Mm-hmm.
What are those values?
Can I ask, so you mentioned k-means before, but in 1D, how is k-mean different than just the average?
Okay, now with k-mean will be average, but my intention is to extend this to multidimensional.
Okay, I see.
Right, so this is just happiness.
Yep.
But I mean, there's nothing wrong with combining this one type of emotion to something else and create a multidimensional space which describe more complex emotional state.
Yep, I see. Yeah, because I was a bit confused of how those two differ. But if you want to extend this to multi-dimension, then each data point has to describe.
No, I wouldn't ask this group to do that multidimensional one. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
But the main thing is, what's a good way to explain? So I mentioned before that in the unit of static survey, you have 5 categories, and you basically describe those 5 categories represented by 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those integer numbers. And based on that mapping, it looks like each category, the categories next to each other, has same distance 1. But from emotional point of view, that distance might not be linearly spaced.
Mhm.
So the main purpose of this is to discovering those non-equal spacing of those emotional states.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So in the most simple case, once you find user came in to find the average location of each emotional state, and you can use it simply in a simple piecewise linear function. So between each emotion, you can use a linear function to interpolate. But if you connect all those each small piece of linear lines, it's not going to be a straight line, or zigzag.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So between very, what's the worst one? Not very unhappy and a little happy might be very, very, what do you call it? Not very sharp, very slow slope linear function. But very happy, no, hang on, happy and very happy could be very sharp increase.
Yep.
So even the piecewise linear function, finding that is it's okay.
One question that I have is that when you're trying to fit the data points through things like regression or through some polynomial functions, you cannot ensure that it's monotonic, right? So does the student need to ensure that the mapping that they create are only monotonically increasing?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because that's what I get out when, yeah. Because from my understanding, I think they should be monotonic, but it's hard to find algorithm that does that.
Yeah, and look, if you put in just a single domain, like just happiness, and if you're measuring, trying to map onto numerical space, yes, it's a monotonically increasing function. That's fine. But when you combine the multidimensional one, then that assumption might not hold. You might start having some plateau in the middle. It might not decrease, but it might not. You might start introducing some plateau space.
I see.
Right. So the most simple case, have from those samples, calculate average using k-mean, and just interpret between those each categories is using a simple linear function. So all together, it's going to be piecewise linear function. Now, next time, every time someone try to introduce some new category of emotion from the same domain, like a not so happy, which is supposed to be in between not very happy and little happy, and you can start breaking up those piecewise linear function to more smaller pieces. Now, once you start doing that, eventually, if you imagine you infinitely you started introducing a lot more categories, then you start looks like a more continuous
Yes.
function. Yeah, nonlinear functions.
Yes.
So, Tini, it sounds like you had an idea, so you can tell others.
I'm just asking these to because I've been reading and because I think there are functions that try to map given data points into a monotonic functions, but that I think that is still an active research questions which might be hard to implement. So I'm just asking for the sake for the student of asking.
No. Look, to be honest, so this kind of research is started back in 1950s, early 50s. You know, all the psychologists are trying to, they wanted to visually inspect how the human emotions are related, which emotions are close to which ones, like I talked about happiness, lots of different range of happiness, or anger, sadness. Two different happiness. Okay, very happy and not happy. That distance, is that the same in angry and not angry? In that different domain, is it the same distance? So those psychologists wanted to measure that sort of distances of emotions.
It
So
does make sense that it shouldn't be linear because
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And the closest to properly measuring those perceptual distances is a color. So let me just type in the chat. Mansell, double L or single L, I'm not sure. This Mansell color space.
Oh.
Okay. If you ever painted your house, or if you probably seen a lot of color sample colors. They usually, more these days, they don't use Mansell color space. They use CIS lab color space, but a long time ago, some people still do. They use those color samples created by Mansell. So what he did was he actually measured the physical characteristic of each color using spectrometers, basically measure the wavelengths of RGB. So he has a numerical description of those color in the vector. And also he showed lots of these sample colors, lots of people, and asking which one is, and how do you feel about differences between these two colors? And he placed all those samples in the 3D color space, and they're equally spaced. So if you pick the two adjacent colors in this Mansell color space, perceptual difference, how human feels, the difference in color, they're all same. They're all perceptually linear.
I see. So they are not like the physical distance in terms of RGB, but they are like.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
That's cool.
Yeah. So the color, this Mansell color space is probably one of the best example of properly measuring perceptual distance and numerically represented. And other emotions and stuff is not many people doing it. And that's why I really want to create one good tools to do it. And the people usually, just use the principal component analysis or something, just to simply reproject the data onto certain selected axis, which is still not accurate. Anyway, that's a motivation.
Yeah, that completely makes sense. Yes.
All right. So by next week, if I can see some piecewise linear function, that's probably okay.
Yeah, sounds good, guys.
Yeah. We will try our best to make it.
Did you really understand? If you didn't understand, ask Tin. Okay.
Yeah, I can try to reiterate.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. All right. Anything else?
Maybe no question now.
Okay. All right. I'll see you next week then.
Okay, thank you.
If you, look, if you because we haven't set up the regular weekly meeting schedule, right?
Yeah, we have sent your email before, but didn't get the reply.
Oh, okay. When do you have any preference?
Which time is suitable for you to have a meeting with us?
This time is fine.
Okay.
This time is fine, or yeah, probably this is best time actually.
Yeah.
How about 3:30? 5:30.
5:30 on
Yeah.
Wednesday? Yeah, that's
Yes.
fine too.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so just to schedule the weekly meeting from 5:30 on Wednesday, and just send me the calendar invite or Zoom
Okay.
invite.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
All right, thank you. See you next week.
Yeah. See you.
All right, cheers.
Yeah. So
Hi, T.
hi. So first of all, how was the thing going before I came in? So were you able to demonstrate your idea to the professor?
Yeah, we have shown the demonstration to the professor, and we think we should get a big improvement for our non-linear mapping section.
Yeah. So first of all, are there any parts that you want to ask me to clarify in terms of what he had just talked about?
Yes, how to automatically choose the mapping algorithm. He provides some examples and some example mapping algorithm and how to choose the best one.
Did he provide it?
He provided in the chat box.
Oh, I couldn't see that. Can you paste it again?
He said, yes. The first is reduce dimension and the second is k-means.
Mm-hmm. I think the third and fourth is the same thing.
Yes.
So first of all, do you understand why he won this system? Like the motivation for this system?
No, it's very confusing.
Oh, okay. So you saw the third one, right? The third one is it's called Munsell. If you search up for it, it's like a color scale, color system.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you know how color can be represented by RGB?
Yes.
Red, green, and yellow. Red, green, and blue. But it can also be represented by many other systems. So for example, in the printer system, because printer doesn't use red, green, and blue, it uses some other mix of color. So it has another color system. I think it's called CYMK or something like that, but it doesn't matter. So there are different systems for different. Maybe it's easier if I show. So like for example, for a color system, RGB is the most common one because red, green, and blue mix up will create white. And for example, for the printer, it uses a different system. It's CMYK. It's basically mixing cyan, red, and purple because it's easiest to create for printer. We use RGB because it's closer to the physics world of how light works. but then CMYK, we use this because it's easier for the printer to print this ink. Does it make sense so far?
Yes.
Yep. So and you know how RGB can be converted to different, for example, you can convert different colors by the numbers of it. So for example, you can say you have like 10% of, so in RGB, it represent by different numbers. So you can say, I want 100 RGB, I want 100 of red, 255 of green, 255 of blue, and then it produces this color. If I want no blue, then it produces this color. And then I can change it, right? Does it make sense so far?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. So it makes sense so far. And these are the percentage of red, green, and blue. But then when we humans see the color, we might not see them as equidistant. And equidistant as in, for example, when I'm looking at this brown color, and when I'm looking at this red color, they look more similar to me compared to this green color, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
So green looks further away than orange and red, right? Because this looks more similar,
Yes.
but green looks more different.
Yeah.
Yeah, does it make sense so far?
Yes.
Yep. So what the professor is trying to, so first of all, this system, the one that he just mentioned, try to tackle this issue by asking actual human of how similar different color looks to them, and then create a system where every color is like an average that looks similar to one another. Does it make sense? You can tell me if it doesn't make sense.
I'm trying to get it.
Yeah, can I
Yeah.
just say it again?
So for example, this color is closer to this color, right? So the distance is very close, right?
Yes.
Because they look similar.
Yes.
Whereas, for example, green is very far away from yellow.
Yes.
Because when they asked a human, they said that those two looks very different.
Yes.
Yes.
So this system is created by surveying a bunch of people, many people, by asking them how similar does each color looks to them.
Oh.
And then they would able to create this system. So things that are similar will be closer. Things that are different will be further away. Does it make sense?
Yes, makes sense.
Yeah. So for example, even though this is green, this is blue, but then because green and blue looks more similar compared to green and red. So these two will be closer compared to red and green. Yes?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so does everyone understand this so far?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is what the professor meant by every point in the space have equal distance by perception. Perception as in how we look at the color. Perception as in our visual, right? By using our eyes to look at the things. So so this is the motivation, as in what an example of what he is trying to create. But rather than being a color, he is more thinking about in terms of emotions. So for emotions, he is saying it's about happy, not happy, right?
Yes.
So he is saying that probably, so emotion, I'm not psychometric space. Does it have anything related to it? Okay, so for example, for this one, this is not happy, this is happy, this is normal, this is super happy, right?
Mhm.
So he's saying that even though we have 5 different scales, but maybe in reality, their distance is not equal. What that means is we have 5 categories. Like let's make them as A, B, C, D, E. Even though when we talk about emotion, we talk about we are very not happy. We are not so happy. We are neutral. We are happy. We are very happy. Even though when we talk about emotions, they sounds like they are next to each other. But then in reality, it might be the fact that very not happy is over here, and this is a bad thing. Very not happy is here, and then maybe not happy is here, and then neutral is here, and then happy is here. So maybe the distance is not same. So these 5 points refers to very sad, not so sad, neutral, happy, and very happy.
Yes.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. If it makes sense, try to explain it to me.
Just like the non-linear interpretation we implemented, yes. But the value is y.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct. So he's trying to investigate the distance between different emotion value. So whether very happy and happy is further away than the other thing, or if it's closer and all that. So this is just the motivation of what the reason of doing this. Yes.
Yes.
And to answer and your question is, so when he was explaining it, what other parts don't you understand?
We are confused about how to implement it. For example, we use the average value and the dimensional reduction and reduction and the k-means. For example, we use these 3 different mapping algorithms and choose the best of them. And after that, how to predict the value we don't know.
I see. So it's when I think when he was talking about predict, it's not actually predict. It's just asking you, given an x value, what is the y value of it? So in terms of the thing that I had mentioned to you previously, what you're doing is correct. So the scale is correct as well. So when you showcase the slider, he just wants you to put the slider. I think he was thinking of he can just click on the graph, but using a slider is okay as well. But then just make sure that the width of the slider is same as the graph.
Yes.
And in terms of k-means or this Sermon mapping, this is a bit different than what you are working on, because they are separate. So you know how later on this will be like a survey system for different people.
Yes.
So in the survey, you would get different data, right? So for example, let's say purple is very unhappy. I'm not gonna spell it out, but this is very unhappy.
Yeah.
Let's say red is not so happy. Blue is very happy, and so on. So for example, let's say you have a scale from 0 to 10. When you collect the data, let's say user one might put very unhappy here, neutral here, very happy here. And then when another user enter the data, they might put very unhappy here, neutral here, and then very happy here. And then when the third user entered the data, they might put very unhappy here, neutral here, and then very happy here. So if you can imagine this keep going on and going on and going on, you would be able to tell that the data will mix up together. So they will have a general trend. So because different people have different scales, right? So when you collect the data, it might look something like this, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Even though each user very happy will be less than neutral, will be less than happy, but then when you combine everyone's data together, they might mix up, right? Yes? Does it make sense so far?
Yes.
Yep. So the k-means and the other thing is for you to find, so these are the very unhappy. So the average is at about here, right? And then the neutral are these, and then the average is here, right?
Yeah.
And then these are the very happy, and then the average is about here, right? Yes?
Yes.
So these are just the average of different data points. What he was talking about is using k-means or other mapping algorithm to find the mean value, as in the average. But what you are doing right now is taking the actual average as your mapping algorithm, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so what you are doing now is doing this part. But the professor was just referring to a different part of collecting the data and then producing the average of it. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so what he was talking about is just talking about collecting data. What you are working on is using average from data to do mapping. So what I think the part that you don't understand is that he was just referring to the collection parts. but what you're working on is the using the average part. Both case. So I think what you're working on right now is correct, and it's okay to finish this part first. I don't think you have to worry too much about the data collection part right now, as in the k-means and the mapping algorithm. You can save the link and the information that the professor have given to you for later purpose. But then right now, just finish the nonlinear mapping part first.
Okay.
Does it make sense? Does it clarify some comments from the professor?
Yes, very clear. Very clear.
So like, feel free to let me know when there are parts that you don't understand. Like, are there any other parts that you don't understand?
Maybe no.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah,
you sure?
No, I think we should watch the recording later, and if we have a question, we'll ask you, Tim.
Sure. Like I am happy to help you guys. So just let me know if there are parts where you want me to clarify.
Yeah, thank you.
No, that's all good. No problem at all.
Yeah, that's quite different.
Yeah. Yeah. Feel free to let me know when. Feel free to email me or message me when you want me to help and clarify some part of the project. I'm always happy to help.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, no problem at all. I'll see you guys next. So we can just I'll just treat this as our tutorial, and so you have to come back later on at 7. But if there are other things that you want to ask me later on, feel free to email me.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. See you.
All right, no problem. It's good work, guys, and yeah, awesome. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.
Is later or next week?
Next week, yes. Sorry, I'll see you guys next week. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, see you
Bye-bye.
next week. Bye.
See you next week. Bye.